Welcome back to the Dad Lounge podcast by dads for dads. I'm your host, Ryan. This is a space where we keep it real about fatherhood, the joys, the challenges, the in between moments that don't always make the highlight reel. Last time we talked about what it means to measure success as a father. Today we're stepping into something every dad faces sooner or later, which I'm going to call the balancing act. How do we juggle work, family, time for yourselves that you have there? It's messy, but messy doesn't mean that you're failing always. Problem that I often make is that I judge based on how clean something is, or in this case, how messy it is. If I'm messy, I must be failing, but I've got to turn that around. We're not failing just because it's messy. So you know how people talk about a work-life balance like it's a magical formula? Like one day you're just going to wake up perfectly centered, never miss a beat again. But if you've got kids, you know that balancing looks more like your toddler stacking building blocks. It's wobbly, it's unpredictable, and it's bound to tip over at some moment. Trust me, I've had my fair share of these moments. Picture trying to work, trying to accomplish your daily tasks, but you've got to be on FaceTime to hear about your son's town or his village on Singing Monsters. It's not always a dedicated section of your day for work and for home and for family. It's one of those things where family kind of fits in everywhere. I will always try to make a moment for family. If it's right in the middle of work, something very important that I'm doing, I love to just take a moment and speak to my family, speak to my kids, be there for them, FaceTime with them for 2 or 3 minutes because it means a lot to them. Just showing up for those few minutes, that makes a big difference for them. Balancing is very tough. Some people work longer hours than others. Some people work a lot of hours. You have people that work 20 hours a day, 15 hours a day. You know, people in the medical field have a lot to juggle. Their work takes up majority of their day. People like me, you know, with the 8, 9 hour a day job, have it a lot better. But then you also have schedules, right? My schedule, I'm at work in the middle of the day. I get home in the evening when it's time for everyone to go to bed. So I too struggle to find that balance. In the mornings, I do have when I take the two younger kids to school, so I do get time with them there. And then I do see them, you know, a little bit before they go to bed in the evenings. So, like I said, if at any point during the middle of the day, I can take time to FaceTime, text message, phone call. On the way home, I'm on the phone with them. You know, anything just to kind of give a little more balance or just to kind of tip the scales over towards family a little more anytime that I can. That's what's very important. And if you are a father who's working 15, 20 hours a day and you're finding ways to stick in 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, a bedtime story over the phone or over FaceTime or you know, those things add up. Those things mean something to your children. I don't want you to feel like if you're home 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day or even less sometimes, or if you're on the road, that you're not making a difference in your child's life and that you're not being a father because you're showing what a parent's able to juggle, sacrifice, and still be there for those little moments that make a big difference in your child's life every day. So kudos to you if you are balancing life in such a way. Learn that it comes down to time versus preference. So here's the thing that I've been learning. Balance isn't really about splitting the time evenly. It's about showing up fully in the time that you have. You know, 10 minutes of being fully all in with your children's worth more than 30 minutes where you're half-assing something, where you're putting them on the back burner because you're more worried about a phone or the game or your friends or getting a drink, you know, all this stuff. You know, fully embodying fatherhood for 5, 10 minutes outweighs partially being a dad for 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours any day of the week. And for me, it hits home when I have moments where, like I said, I get off of work at 8 p.m. I get home around 8:30 if traffic's good. It hits home whenever my toddler is going to bed at 9, 9:15 sometimes. My teenagers are going to bed around 9:30, 10 o'clock when I'm able to simply come in, put everything down, take 1, 2 minutes to myself, if that sometimes, and I just go right into being a father, right into dad mode, right into playing, right into trying to joke around, trying to make people smile, trying to check on things, you know, what's going on, what's happening, you know, kind of put me in the loop here, what happened in your life today, reading the bedtime stories with the toddler. It really hits home whenever you've had 10, 15, 20 minutes with your child and you see how happy they are that they got to have that time with you. And your toddler will say that his best day ever just because you got to read him a bedtime story, something along those lines. I mean, it's not fancy, it's not planned, but moments like that remind you that presence matters way more than perfection. The next part that I want to talk about is a part that a lot of dads skip over, and that's ourselves. We think balance means giving every ounce to work, family, but if you're running on empty, you have nothing left to give. I've learned the hard way that, you need little things to recharge. For me, it can be something as simple as sitting in the car for 3 or 4 minutes whenever I pull up in the evenings. Yes, I feel like crap. It weighs heavy on my mind. They're not 3 or 4 minutes of, you know, no stress because the whole time I'm thinking that I'm doing the wrong thing. It could be something as simple as missing a little bit of sleep to play a video game or read. I'm a big reader, reading a little bit. You have to find times to pour into yourself. If you're constantly pouring out, pouring out, pouring out into others, what happens when that pitcher runs dry? When there's nothing left to pour out, you have nothing left to give. You have to remember yourself. Small things make a huge difference in how I show up as a dad. I know whenever I start to run on empty because I'm a little less understanding, probably a lot shorter. I may not be as fun. So don't feel guilty about it. Taking care of yourself is part of taking care of your family. You have to take care of you so that you can take care of others. You have to take care of your car so that it can get you to and fro. You have to take care of yourself. Otherwise, you cannot take care of your family. But at the end of the day, balance is less about getting it right and more about giving yourself grace. Some days you'll crush it. Other days the dishes are piled up. Bedtime's a mess. You're just hoping tomorrow's smoother. Now that more or less, I say that for fathers who are doing it alone. Again, I've said a few episodes back, I really do applaud you fathers, and I feel for you fathers. I'm very fortunate to have a partner that is phenomenal, runs laps around me every day that ends in Y. Very, very blessed to have a partner to do things with. Not everyone is that fortunate. Some by choice, some for, out of other things that have happened that are out of their control. But tomorrow's always going to be smoother if you notice how today is. If you turn a blind eye and, ignorance is bliss, if you're unaware of how things are, how piled up things are, how messy things are, tomorrow probably won't be better. You have to be able to see what needs to be fixed so that you can address it. A good father will address it. It may be a small step here, a small step there. It's not going to be giant leaps all the time, but a good father will always notice it and slowly work over things. I know I do. I'm not the best father, not the best person. I'm trying. I want to get there. I want us all to get there. If you're listening, I want us to get there together. But yeah, if you can notice everything that needs to be fixed, make a mental list like we do. We have mental lists all day. I'm always talking to myself, making a mental list about this or that or this and that. And, I get asked, what are you saying? I'm talking to myself about things I need to get done, things that I have to get done with. You'll slowly chip away at that list. And every time you chip something off that list, you're shedding a piece of skin off to form the new skin underneath, the tougher skin, the more resilient you, the new you. As I've said, kids do not need a perfect dad. They need you, flawed, tired, still trying you. That's enough. Give them you every morning, every day, every evening. But find time for yourself. Cannot stress that enough. Thank you so much, guys, for spending time with me in a Dad Lounge today. I do apologize for my voice. I am getting over a sickness. But if you are able to make it through this episode, I do appreciate you a lot. If this episode hit home, share it with a dad who might need the reminder. And hey, I'd love to hear how you're managing the balancing act in your own life. Send in your stories on socials. Maybe we could share a few on a future episode. Till next time, keep going, dads. You've got this. See ya.